Alright, so Todd of me is speaking, everybody. So, shut the fuck up and listen.
Don't be silent with your votes. Next time, if you did this shit with Biden, please, beloved, please, stop. Stop voting for this. You knew what this guy was going to do. You knew he was going to continue the long, honored tradition of terrorizing the rest of the goddamn world. I don't know, y'all. I'm so mad. I'm so mad thinking about other people being bombed. I'm so bad about thinking about other people suffering. It's just gotten so tiresome. And I don't know. I'm glad that I voted for Green. I'm just glad that I...
So, I'm mad too. I'm pissed off that the Forever Empire continues bombing the Forever Wars. It never ends. So, I'm glad that Todd of me is pissed off because that takes some of the burden off of me. There's a lot to be pissed off. Like, fuck, I'm worried about homelessness right now. Now I gotta worry about war on top of the homelessness, on top of the police brutality, on top of the...
that I voted for Green, so I don't have to feel that total guilt. But I still feel the guilt because I'm here, and because I live this, and because every time if I work, if I buy something, I'm funding this. Period. And of course I work, because I've been working since I was, 18 years old.
Not exactly period, but essentially she's saying she's a good person, so because she's part of the culture, the society, the system. If you only spend, money on sales tax, a lot of times that's just local government, so there's not all taxes goes to the war, your federal income taxes. So anyways, I want to share my knowledge about the military. My knowledge about the U.S. military is limited due to the lack of transparency by the Pentagon. But ultimately, we're an empire. The United States is an empire. We have 750 military bases in over 150 countries. So 750 military bases in over 150 countries. There's 200 countries total. That's 75%. We have a military base in 75% of the world's countries. So if America isn't an empire, then nothing was. Britain, the Mongols, the Romans, none of those were empires. If America's not an empire, then those weren't empires either. So, I think just knowing that puts you infinite levels. Just knowing that by itself, we're an empire. We're an empire. There's some French students that actually called us the empire. Not the American empire, but the empire. So, I think they recognize us properly in the world, as it is. And so we're the empire. And since we're the empire, then we need to act as, a good empire, a decent empire, a respectable empire, not one that, ignores Myanmar genocides or Yemen participates actively in the genocide in Yemen, along with Saudi Arabia, who perpetuated 9/11, along with Al-Qaeda. We seem to have lost our way with Syria. We're on the side of Al-Qaeda, which goes against the entire war on terror. So that's my extent of the military. So the comment that, hey, your knowledge on the military, I wish I had it. Well, there you go. There's my knowledge on the military. We're an empire, 750 military bases in 150 countries. And to list some of the countries that we're in, and actually a lot of countries have military bases, especially the United Kingdom. They got military bases in Canada, and they got it in Bermuda. They got it in Cayman Islands. So they're right there, right on the north of us, and in America too. So there's so the American Revolution was for nothing. There's UK military bases at MCAS Beaufort, Creech Air Force Base, Edwards Air Force Base, Naval Submarine Base, Kings Bay, The Trident facility, of course. So America, we're in Afghanistan, we're in Akrotiri and Dekilia. It's a very important strategic island or something. Aruba, the Netherlands, Queen Beatrix International Airport, Ascension, Australia, Bahamas, Bahrain, Belgium, Bosnia, and Herzegovina, Brazil, Bulgaria, Cuba, British Indian Ocean Territory. Just got a base out in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Cuba, Guantanamo Bay Naval Air Force Base, Cameroon, Curacao, the Netherlands, Djibouti, Ecuador, Estonia, Germany, Greece, Greenland, Honduras, Hungary, Iceland, Indonesia, Iraq, Israel, Italy, Japan, Jordan, Kenya, Kosovo, Kuwait, Netherlands, Niger, Norway, Oman, Peru, Philippines, Poland, Portugal. We gotta watch out for Poland. Lask Air Force Base, we need to keep Qatar, Romania, Saudi Arabia, Prince Sultan Air Force Base, 64th Air Expeditionary Group, but that's been inactive for 7 years. Seychelles, Seychelles, Singapore, South Korea, Spain, Syria, Thailand, Tunisia. We got a drone base in Tunisia, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom. So, okay, UK, you may have conquered 4 of our, but we got 6 military bases in the United Kingdom. So we are winning the war against the Revolutionary War, against our imperialist, oppressor, abusers, the United Kingdom, the honky motherland. We just can't get quit of them damn Anglo-Saxons. So we got an Air Force base at the RAF Alconbury, RAF Croughton, RAF Fairford, RAF Lincoln Heath, RAF Minwith Hill, and RAF Mildenhall, and of course RAF means Royal Air Force. So we've taken over the Mildenhall Royal Air Force Base, which, if anything, we got the war on Al-Qaeda and Afghanistan and what have you, but we've only been attacked 3 times. There was Pearl Harbor, 9/11, and the War of 1812. So the United Kingdom burned down the White House and burned down D.C., destroyed our capital, and we still have. Why is D.C. on the coast? So my knowledge of the military is just limited to, we're a military dictatorship. We are what Hitler was trying to be. And unfortunately, the oppression that the empire does overseas, I think, is identical to the oppression here domestically. All right, Totomy.
Prior to 18, I worked, but it was like under the table with my mom.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Sorry, beloved.
Hey, beloved. Hey, beloved. So, on top of America being an empire, just to bring home the point, so 750 military bases in over 150 countries. The numbers I've heard from 700 to 900 to 150 to 190. So we actually don't know where all the military bases are. I just watched the documentary. Guys hit document maybe 6 days ago or whatever, and there's only the U.S. military actually doesn't know where the U.S. military bases are. They use a guy named Dave. Dave wrote all the military bases down, and so the U.S. military said, "Hey, Dave, can we use your list? Because we don't know what the hell. We're an empire. We're just sprawling out everywhere and anywhere." So the argument against the empire, there's a ton of arguments against it, but it's a shit ton of money, trillions of fucking dollars. But the biggest argument is we're creating terrorists. You're going to tell me that the Trump administration was running the military operations in Cameroon to help the people of Cameroon? He didn't give a fuck about the people of America, let alone. So no, I do not trust. If anything, I think it's the opposite. It's a military occupation. It creates a target for them. You know, they have, there is the instrument of our oppression. Why would we not go with the United Nations? Why would we not listen to the, you know, world body, which we have a shit ton of control and power? It's in New York City. We pay dues, and then also we have the veto power. So why would we not use the world body to, you know, do any international affairs to just say, you know, we're going to invade whoever the hell we want to invade, to ignore the United Nations? To listen to the United Nations, I think, takes courage. So to ignore it, it's just, it's World War II's greatest generation. That's their legacy, was the United Nations. So the Roman Empire, or the other part, okay, so 750 military bases in over 150 countries, plus Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, American Samoa. D.C.'s not a part of the 50 nifty United States. People like to think of, you know, America just being the 50 states, and, you know, I like that idea, but that's assuming we're a republic. We're an empire. We're an empire. We have colonies. Puerto Rico is a colony. Guam, U.S. Virgin Islands. These are Northern Mariana Islands, American Samoa. These are colonies. They're nationals, and so they have, you know, citizenship. I think they could fly back and forth to America, but they're not actual citizens or nationals, and so they don't get the blessings of all citizenship. And what the fuck? They're, you know, we're occupying Puerto Rico. We claim Puerto Rico as our own, and Guam and Samoa, and you know, but the people, we're not going to give them citizenship. So that's an occupation. One thing that the Roman Empire did that was super smart was when they would take over a, you know, territory, when they would conquer a brand new territory, they would turn the brand new territory into citizens. So the conquered territory would get the blessings of Roman citizenship. They would become of the, you know, Roman civilization, the Roman culture and whatnot, the aqueducts and the arcs. And I wonder if South and Central America had a referendum, if they would just want to become Americans by choice. I would love to expand, you know, by choice. So I think America's role in the world, I think people are schizophrenic, they're ambivalent, they're, you know, they see it. The world wants America to be good and to lead the way. But the world also wants us to back the fuck up and let them run their own shit too. So if we're going to be the world's policeman, we got to do a good job. We're doing a shitty job. So I think starting with a change in our language, we are the empire. We are the empire. Just like those French students said. So what's the empire going to do next? Is the empire going to just sit back and watch Hong Kong get fucked over? Is the empire just going to sit back and watch Myanmar coup d'etat their, you know, I guess genocidal leader, right? Their genocidal Sun Yi whatever. There was some shit that just happened. Nigeria, Myanmar, they killed 18 Hong Kong, 47 democracy supporters. The Republicans are moving to fix elections that weren't even broken, so a lot of shit's going on. So the United States, on top of the 750 military bases in over 150 countries, it's 50 states, a federal district, Washington, D.C., 5 major territories, and various minor islands. So the United States proper, you know, this is what, when you think of what the United States is, you have to think about those damned islands in the Pacific. You got to think about D.C. It's not a part of any state. It's its own creature. You got American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and U.S. Virgin Islands. And if you got those 5 major colonies of America, then you got, you're better than, most Americans. But on top of those 5 major territories, we also got Baker Island, Howland Island, Jarvis Island, Johnson Atoll, Kingman Reef, Midway Atoll, Navassa Island, Palmyra Atoll, and Wake Island. So we got 9 other islands out there. There's some disputed territories. These are uninhabited. There's no indigenous, so we're just military. It's all Americans. So these are, I guess we got there first, right? No, we got Baker Island first. Howland Island, that's ours. Disputed territories, the Serranía Bank and the Bajo Nuevo Bank, the Petro Island. We claimed all this shit back in the 1800s. Colombia says that those 2 banks are theirs. So does Jamaica and Nicaragua and Honduras. So think about the 5 islands: Guam, American Samoa, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, American Samoa, Northern Mariana, Guam. But also think about Baker Island, Howland Island. So that's 14, right? That's 14 islands or 14 colonies. So that's greater United States of America, right? So we are 50 nifty United States plus 50 nifty United States plus 50, plus DC, plus American Samoa, plus Guam, plus Northern Mariana Islands, plus Puerto Rico, plus U.S. Virgin Islands, plus Baker Island, plus Howland Island, plus Jarvis Island, plus Johnson Atoll, plus Kingman Reef, plus Midway Atoll, plus Navassa Island, plus Palmyra Atoll, plus Wake Island. And then let's not forget all of our military bases all throughout the world, in the Bahamas, in Belgium, in Bulgaria, Estonia, Kenya, Italy, Norway, Oman, Spain, Syria, Thailand, Tunisia, Seychelles, how do you pronounce that? I don't know, probably should learn it before I try to pronounce it right.
I'm Tommy, and today I want to talk about how war bothers me. It bothers the shit out of me, and I don't understand why it doesn't bother the shit out of everybody else. I don't understand how people speak on it with just callous tones, which ultimately undermine the destruction that bombing other people has, short-term, long-term, whatever. It just feels like we just rush over that. It bothers me that time and again, person after person, over and over again, it doesn't matter who it is, their side will justify total destruction and annihilation, things that change human lives, the trajectory of individual lives completely in seconds. Irreparable. You can't return. Bombs destroy. They destroy utterly, completely, for decades. They destroy the land. You can't just come back and rebuild an apartment complex. You can't just decide to come back to your homeland. Your homeland is gone. Find a new homeland. That's what we say every time we drop a bomb. But yet and still, it just doesn't seem to impact my fellow Americans I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why we can't mentally imagine the actual physical toll of drone strikes and dropping bombs. Why we are justifying, Biden dropping the bombs on Syria, but y'all, Trump dropped more bombs than Obama. The reason I don't like Obama is because he managed to kill so many civilians and children, and it disgusts me to my core. And yet, to know that Trump dropped more bombs than that, and more indiscriminate, and in his first month, that was one of the things that thoroughly disgusted me, was when he killed off a family that Obama had started to execute in completion. He finished them off. He found the daughter somewhere at a boarding school at like 14, 13 years old and executed her. And I just don't understand how we are so numb to the execution of humans, to the execution of people's homelands. Their kids can't return here. Their grandkids often can't return here. I just don't understand how we've gotten here. How is it this hard? What is the level of lack of education, of relationships, of society, of being a neighbor? What is missing?
Good questions to Tommy. Another thing I want to comment on was, I had said that I've been speaking up against war for 20 years, and that's absolutely true. So I graduated in the year 2000, high school. I graduated high school in 2000, and it's 2000. It's a brand new millennium, a brand new 1,000 years, a brand new 2,000 years, right? 2000, my God. Y2K, I was freaking out and all this, but 2000, there's, 0, then 1000, and then 2000. That's fantastic. The 1900s party like it's 1999. The 1900s probably like, oh shit, 2000's right around the corner. And yet, it doesn't seem, it was almost like a blip on the radar when I was growing up. Anyways, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. But instead of opening up the 2000s as, Woodstock and a hippie wonderland, instead of opening up the 2000s as being all that America could be, instead, like Teddy Roosevelt, we're invading sovereign nations because we're the empire and we could get away with it. I was scared to death when we were invading. People were watching Fox News glued to the TV. So I just want to make a point about, I feel, because I'm an old-ass millennial, one of the oldest, that after 9/11, shit changed. After 9/11 and then the Iraq War changed everything. It wasn't 9/11, it was the Iraq War that changed everything. For me, at least. In Kentucky, I heard nobody that said, hey, let's not kill people. All those Christians, nobody said, hey. Everybody was in favor of the Iraq War. Everybody was scared. The nation was paralyzed because of 9/11. Nobody was saying shit. Look what happened to the Dixie Chicks. That's very instructive of what the fuck happened in America during the early 2000s. America was scared and paralyzed, and nobody was saying, fuck this war, let's get the fuck out of it, let's not do this shit, they're lying to us. There was a couple people, Michael Moore and some other ones, but essentially the mass media, it looked like everybody was, the people on the street. I heard nobody say anything but Michael Moore. And I'm just, 18, so I'm just kind of like wondering, does this all make sense? So the Dixie Chicks, all they did, they were in a concert in Germany or some shit. And then that little short one, that little firebrand with that, with her mouth just popping off at the mouth, Natalie Maines. All she said was when the Iraq War was being, gunned up, and they were Bush went around the country just giving a bunch of speeches saying how, Iraq did it. They got him. We got to get him. We got to go. So he did this big propaganda effort right beforehand. And all Natalie Maines had said was in Italy or wherever, Estonia, some random concert in the middle of fucking nowhere, that she was ashamed to be from the same state as George W. Bush was from. But an innocuous, little tiny opinion, just a little, but that's how scared the right wing was of the rest of the country, possibly saying this is bullshit. They said, oh shit, Natalie Maines spoke out about it, and then you had tractors driving over their CDs, and I even heard, this is the shit that I was hearing in Kentucky, was People in Kentucky aren't going to listen to musicians if they don't respect them politically. What? Are you kidding me? That's like, you have no other stances in the entire world, but that's a stance that you, and do you even believe that? Garth Brooks is liberal as shit, and Garth Brooks is, celebrated. Rightfully so. He's a fantastic artist, and he's, wonderfully liberal. But 9/11 wasn't the thing. It was the Iraq War that changed everything, because after 9/11, they shoved the Iraq War down our throats. They shoved Homeland Security down our throats, the Patriot Act down our throats. Then the TSA, the entire way of life in America completely changed. And so in a way, the terrorists won, right? So they got rid of our freedoms. They were jealous of our freedoms. So we was like, fuck it. Let's just give our freedoms away. Now they can't be jealous because we ain't got none. Joke's on you, terrorist. So we only had, 3 major attacks: Pearl Harbor, War of 1812, and 9/11. So 9/11 shocked and scared everybody. It's brand new for everybody. Nobody knew. I don't want to say nobody knew how to act or how to think about the damn thing. Noam Chomsky was fucking legend. Noam Chomsky went to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. His little book, 9/11, it's still, pick it up today, read it. It's fantastic. But 9/11 happens, and that was the Pearl Harbor moment that the project for the new American century needed in order to start the Iraq War. In order to start, we're the fucking empire. We're not going to listen to the United Nations if the president wants to invade a sovereign nation. And we don't fuck with the nukes. There's 8 nuclear powers, so if the country has a nuclear weapon, we don't fuck with them. We only fuck with the third world countries that doesn't, that has a tiny little military and tiny little navy, like Iraq, but not North Korea. So I explained all that. Teddy Roosevelt had Mark Twain speaking up against him. They call him a progressive, but he started out as an imperialist fuck. Started the 1900s out as an imperialist fuck. And then Baby Bush is going to do the exact same thing with the brand new millennium with 2000. The 1990s just happened to be good, I think, in spite of U.S. policies. The internet and fuck, we were cool, right? 90s, so gas was cheap. The economy, 99 cents for a gallon of gas, and the internet was up and coming. Hip-hop was Tupac and Biggie, and so a lot of shit was going on in the 90s, but I think it was in spite of American policies. I've never had an American president that actually changed America for the better, that actually made America. The last liberal president I heard we had was Nixon, and I could see that the EPA and some shit, but it looks like LBJ, Nixon, FDR. We've never had a we never had a president that got in there and actually changed the lives of the American people and made it better. Since Nixon, LBJ, FDR, Lincoln. But Nixon, since 1973, for goddamn 40, 50 years, our presidents are complete innocuous fools, a bunch of plutocratic puppets. So because that's how I look at the Iraq War and America's role in the world, we basically declared to the world that we're the fucking premier empire and nobody's going to fuck with us, and nobody did, thank goodness for us. But, it seems to me, why would Russia or China allow us to go into Iraq? It would make them think that we might go into their country. We're also right next door. We don't like it when Russia goes into Georgia, Ukraine, rightfully so. So part of me was thinking, shit, Russia and China, but the 2003 Iraq invasion, I guess, was successful in terms of taking the country over. It's a high death toll, 1 million dead. So I mention this because, I've been speaking out against the war for 20 years, and it hasn't been successful, so I'm feeling a little bit like David Sirota over here. But because I'm an old-ass millennial, one of the oldest, I feel I want it to be better for the next generation. I feel like my generation, we had a moment there to really make things better. We could have used the crisis of 9/11 and turned this into a hippie land. Instead, they used the crisis to turn it into, totalitarian empire, whatever you want to, imperialist. So the 2000